2026 Woodbury Town Meeting. And we begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we'll have a moment of silence to remember our neighbors, friends, and family who died this past year. Good morning, neighbors. I'm Stephen Murphy, Town Moderator, and I'm pleased to be with you today. I'll give a brief introduction on 4 points of order: rules, articles, debate, and voting, and then we'll proceed. Number 1, rules. Robert's Rules of Order, 12th edition, are the basic rules of order for this meeting, except where Vermont state law takes precedent. You, members of this assembly, cannot change Vermont law, but by unanimous consent or by a 2/3 vote, you can change Robert's rules. You have the right to challenge the rulings made by the moderator. Please tell the moderator if you think that they have ruled improperly. The job of the moderator is to facilitate the will of the voters. Number 2, articles. An article must be moved and seconded, then stated by the moderator, before it is under consideration and debate may begin. An article may only have one amendment at a time associated with it, and likewise, that amendment may have only one amendment at a time associated with it. With respect to an article, an amendment may not change its subject or its objective or the means of achieving the objective. Number 3, debate. All motions, remarks, and discussion must be addressed to the moderator, who will do their best to recognize you in the order that you raised your hands. After being recognized, please stand up, state your name, and wait for the microphone to be brought to you by Emmett Gordon, who is serving as our microphone runner today. Emmett, would you please stand so people can see you? Thank you, Emmett. Under Robert's rules, speeches will be limited to 10 minutes. After you've spoken once on an issue, you may not speak on it a second time until every other member of the assembly has had an opportunity to speak on it once. And you may be allowed to speak a third time by unanimous consent or a 2/3 vote. Speeches must be confined to the merits of the question. You may not engage in personal attacks on a member of the assembly or on their motives. Debate may be cut off by a motion to call the question. It requires a second and then a 2/3 vote, but you must be recognized to make this motion. Finally, number 4, voting. Only registered voters received name tags at the check-in table. Please keep these name tags visible to acquaint yourself with your neighbors, and to identify yourself as a registered voter. A vote by division of the House, that is, according to custom in Woodbury, a vote by show of hands, may be called by one voter after a voice vote, and a vote by paper ballot may be called by 7 voters after a voice vote, or after a vote by division of the House, or, according to custom in Woodbury, and without objection and by unanimous consent at this meeting, a paper ballot may be called by 7 voters before a voice vote, or before a vote by division of the House. Hearing no objection, let us proceed. Reconsideration of an article is permitted until the point at which the Assembly begins consideration of another article. A motion for reconsideration must be made by a member who voted on the prevailing side. So yes, I would need to ask how you voted. At this time, I ask those who are not legal voters in the town of Woodbury, please raise your hand and stand. And please introduce yourselves by stating your names. Yeah. I'm sorry, your name? Augusta Elliott? Eliezer. Okay. Oh, we should record.
They should take their name tags off.
Yes, okay. Thank you. Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, so David Massell, we should record those. David Massell and Augusta Eliezer.
Yes.
Eliezer. In the back, was there someone who's not a registered voter? Yes? Mariah Mitchell. Okay, but not a registered voter, okay. Anyone else? Yeah? Emmett Gordon. And please remove your name tag. Thank you. Okay. You can keep it, though. Non-voters, you are welcome here. However, you may not vote, and unless there is a suspension of the rules, you may not make motions or speak in debate. And finally, before we proceed here, I would like to introduce some of our town officials that are up at the head table. Our town clerk, Robin Durkee. Our town treasurer, Lily Barron. Select board member, Lizzie Higgins. Select board chair, Chris Casey. Select board member, Diana Peduzzi. And helping us at the check-in table today was our assistant town clerk, Pamela Ancuda. And Chris Codius. Okay. One more point of order on paper ballot voting. The moderator under Vermont law has a duty to follow reasonable and necessary procedures to ensure that persons who are not voters of the town do not vote. Now, I'm going to ask for your guidance on a question of procedure here today. And the question that I'm going to ask you is, shall we use a voter checklist when voting by paper ballot? I'll explain that a little more in a moment. And the reason I'm going to put this question to you today is because at the moderator training, which is conducted by the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, there's a handbook that's provided to the trainees. And this handbook says that the member checklist, in this case that's our voter checklist, the member checklist should be used for voting by paper ballot to establish, 1, whether or not a person is a registered member, 2, to ensure that each person who votes only votes once, and 3, to maintain a record of who voted. Now, that is using a checklist at the paper ballot voting box is not customary in Woodbury. So the training says the moderator should, but it doesn't say shall, so we're not required to. So I'm going to put this question to you. I feel a responsibility because it's advising me something I should do, and I'm going to allow the assembly to decide that question. So under Robert's rules, this is a point of order. The moderator has a question about a point of order, the procedure here. And the moderator can, in those instances of doubt, put the question to the assembly to decide, to provide guidance. So that's what I'm going to do right here, so we can resolve this. So I'll state the question, and a question like this on a point of order, the debate is slightly different than normal debate on a motion. Generally here, the moderator would state the reason or their position on the question, and then each member of the assembly, if they wish, could speak once. And then the moderator could, at the end of that, respond in some way. And then it goes to a majority vote. And then we'll move on. Okay, so the question before us, before I put the question, I'm going to say, these are the customary procedures and the procedures that we followed today to ensure that only registered voters vote. Okay, this is our customary procedure. We have the check-in table. That is a list of our registered voters. Voters come in, they announce their name, they get checked off, and then they're issued voter name tags. We had a few issued in error this morning, and we settled that. Okay, so at this point, only registered voters should have name tags. We just went through a non-voter identification. We instructed them that they can't vote, they can't make motions, they can't enter debate. And then if and when it comes time for a ballot vote, the ballot clerks would distribute ballots to any voter who wants one. And then when it's time to cast your votes at the ballot box here, there would be 2 ballot clerks monitoring the box. So those are the steps we take customarily and that we take today. So the question now on this point of order and procedure is this. Shall a voter checklist be used at town meeting for voting by paper ballot, except in instances where the assembly votes to instruct the town clerk to cast 1 ballot for a sole nominee for an office? Is there discussion? Yes, please rise and state your name. And here comes the microphone. I recognize Patrick Flood.
I don't have to state my name, he just did. So we talked about this at pre-town meeting the other night. Many of us were all there. I've been coming to town meeting for 40 years. I think the processes that we've had in place all these years have worked well. I've never seen an instance that even closely resembles somebody trying to vote twice, somebody from out of town trying to vote. we don't all know each other, but collectively, we have a pretty good idea of who's in the room. And if they go up to vote, the people holding the boxes are going to have a pretty good idea whether you're a stranger or whether you're somebody from town. I think it's overkill. It will slow things down. Theoretically, we could have 7, 8, 9, 10, paper ballots, and it will slow things down a lot if we have to go through a checklist. So I think it's overkill. I don't think it's necessary. I think we can stick with what we've always done. It's worked, and I'm satisfied with it.
Thank you. Any other debate? Hearing none, we will close debate and move to the vote. Is everyone certain of the consequences of the vote here? Or should I say, thank you. And I will restate the question. Thank you. Skip called a point of order to restate the question. Here's the question. Shall a voter checklist be used at town meeting for voting by paper ballot, except in instances where the assembly votes to instruct the town clerk to cast one ballot for a sole nominee for an office? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. No. The noes appear to have it. The noes have it. The question fails. We will not be using checklists for paper ballot. Okay. All right, so moving now to the warning, the meeting warning. Article 1, who shall be elected moderator? I have publicly declared that I would accept a nomination to serve as moderator. So I will yield in order to prevent conflict of interest. I'm going to yield the moderating duties to the Select Board, Chris Casey.
Good morning. So our first article is Article 1. Who shall be elected moderator? Are there nominations for the office of moderator? Skip?
I nominate Stephen Murphy. Second.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, without objection, and, by unanimous consent, we'll close nominations. Being the only nominee, Stephen Murphy is elected moderator.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Chris. Okay. All right, so we move on to Article 3. Who shall be elected to fill the following positions? No, pardon me, I skipped. Article 2 comes after Article 1. Article 2. Is there a motion for Article 2? What is your pleasure with respect to Article 2? Skip Marcassani.
I move we accept it.
Okay. Do you want to move Article 2 as stated?
It doesn't make sense, actually.
Well, okay, I'll explain. Vermont League of Cities and Towns recommends that consideration of the town report does not pose a question to accept or approve the town report. So a couple of years back, after discussion at select board meetings, the select board began warning it as a statement, simply to consider the town report, because acceptance or approval is not necessary. And if there are corrections to be made or changes to the town report, that can be done. That can be done. So if we have a motion on Article 2, then we can consider, talk about, debate items in the report, and potentially make changes. Skip, quick. Okay. I move Article 2. I move Article 2. Yeah. Okay, good question. No, that is a good question. Where are we moving it to? We are moving it onto the floor for consideration, debate, and discussion. But no vote. No vote, unless there's an amendment to it. But to get started, discussion of the town report simply requires a motion on Article 2. Skip Marcassani.
I make a motion that we move Article 2.
Okay. Is there a second? I see Paul Cerruti. Okay. Article 2 is moved and seconded. Skip, because you made the motion, you have a right to speak first. Would you like? No? Okay. Okay. Paul, no? Okay. Now it's open. You said.
I said, whoever did the town report, excellent job, thank you.
Okay. John Reed. Here comes the microphone. Here we go, Emmett. Right here.
Actually, some of the town report, there are 3 mistakes that I would like to point out. And unless other corrections are noted, then I'll make a quick motion that they be corrected in the official copy of the town report. On page 58, the Cemetery Commission report, the names of 2 commissioners were dropped. Cemetery Commission Secretary Stephanie Appleton and Commission member Amy Eldred. On page 79, the correct amount requested by the Vermont Rural Fire Protection Task Force should be $200, not $100. It is correct in the articles and in the budget, so that's just an informational change. And last, on page 82, in the photo caption for the back cover, once again, Stephanie Appleton's name was dropped. She's one of the band members not in the photo. So those are the corrections that I know of this year.
Yes. Here we go, Emmett. I'd like to suggest, so John made some corrections, right, to the town report. I'd like to suggest that we continue debate, consideration, and see if there are any other corrections that would need to be made. And then after that's concluded, then we could present this as a question to accept those proposed changes. Is it any objection to that? Okay. Any other discussion on town report? Yes. Is that Mary Clark? Yes. Here we go, Emmett. All right. Mary? Yeah.
I think the title is the wrong date on the title page here. Should it be 2026?
Could we have someone explain that? John Reed.
Whoops. So this confused me too the first time I did the town report, but it's actually the report of the town for last year, which is why it has 2025.
As in calendar year, not fiscal year.
I'm sorry? But
2025 is for your calendar year.
correct. Yep.
Any other discussion about the town report? Okay, hearing none, will, John Reed.
So,
Pardon me, John, 1 second. You spoke, could come back to here. Mary Gangemi. Yep. Yep, could you hold 1 second for the mic? Here we go. We had a cleanup in the center aisle. Thank you.
Okay, so I have a question about the printed town report, and that is why the school budget is no longer included in the town report. I'm bringing it up because from where I sit, it's a problem of access for everyone. Cell phone service is spotty in Woodbury in this area, and yet the Mountain View district has mailed us postcards to scan a code to then go to a website and read the school report. Why so many steps? And why, when cell phone service is spotty, not everyone has a cell phone, not everyone can afford a cell phone, not everyone is savvy enough to use a cell phone. So how much money are we saving by not including it in the town report? And is it really worth denying access for that amount of money? The last thing we need in the environment that we now live in is secrecy, maneuvering, and blocks, barriers to access of information that we're entitled to. So that's my spiel.
Any other discussion? John had raised his hand. Is there anyone that hasn't spoken yet that would like to? Okay, John, would you still like to speak? Okay.
I move to amend Article 2 with these corrections to the town report, and to be noted in the town meeting minutes, and that the corrections be made in the official digital version of the town report on the town website. Page 58, add the names of Cemetery Commission Secretary Stephanie Appleton and member Amy Eldred. Page 79, correct the amount requested by the Vermont Rural Fire Protection Task Force to $200. Page 82, in the photo caption, add Stephanie Appleton to band members not in the photo.
Okay, so John has made a motion to amend the article to include the changes just stated. Is there a second on the amendment? I saw Paul Cerruti. You second that. Okay. So first, there's a new question before us, and that is, shall we amend the article to John's stated question there, which includes the questions? So, is there any debate on the proposed amendment? Okay. Hearing none, we'll close debate on the question of amending the article, and we'll move to a vote on it. And I just want to make sure everyone understands the consequences of this vote. If you vote aye, if you vote yes, that means that you wish to amend Article 2. Okay? It doesn't mean approving it yet. It just means amend the statement in Article 2. It will be put to a question. And if you vote no, that means you do not want to amend it. So, any questions? Okay. All those in favor of amending Article 2 as stated by John Reed, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. The amendment passes. So now, Article 2 is amended as stated by John Reed. Now, is there any more discussion on the amended Article 2? Michael Gray.
Not on the amendments, but I wonder if there's somebody that could answer Mary's question about not having the school report in the town report.
Okay. Mike, yeah, would you state that again, Michael? Thank you.
So I'm wondering if there's anyone in this room that could answer Mary's question about not having the school budget report in our town report.
Retta Dunlap, yes. Retta, could you hold just one second? Yeah. Thank you for your patience in waiting for the mic. We'll be there quickly. Thank you.
Because the school is not part of the town of Woodbury. Even when we voted on the budget here, we suspended or sort of suspended the Woodbury town stuff to do the school vote, and then we went back because it's got its own board, its own entity, its own checkbooks. And I don't know why it's not in the town report. When they used to mail it out, it was just as thick as our town report. So I don't know if we could include it or not. I don't even know what's in that document, but that would be why they're separate. And I am assuming when we went to consolidation to the Mountain View district, it went to not voting here, but voting by ballot at the polling station. So that's my guess.
Skip Marcassani.
So as a point of clarification, I translate that into the issue has got to be raised with the school board and not the town. Is that correct? Okay, thank you.
Any further debate on the amended Article 2? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to a vote. So we have the Article 2 as amended by John Reed and accepted here. All those in favor of accepting the amended Article 2 as stated by John Reed, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Article 2 as amended is passed. Okay, moving on now, after Article 2 to Article 3. Who shall be elected to fill the following positions as town officers? Before we move to the first one, I just want to state a few points on the order here, the procedure. That if you wish to make a nomination, you need not be recognized to make a nomination. We haven't got there yet. But once I announce the position and the term, you need not be recognized to make a nomination. And no second is required. It's generally appreciated, but not required. Public discussion of the election of candidates is not permitted at this meeting. However, a candidate nominated from the floor may introduce his or her candidacy to the extent permitted by the voters. So, customarily what we do is if someone's nominated, we invite them to stand, introduce themselves to anyone who may not know them, and they can give, as permitted by the assembly, an introduction of their candidacy. So, any questions on the procedure of an election of officers? Is it a point of order or a point of information? Retta Dunlap.
Are they allowed to just speak about who they are, or are they actually allowed to, what's the term? Politic. I guess, I believe this, I believe that. Just what is the extent of that? Because this is technically, I think, a polling station, and you're not supposed to do the election politics stuff here, is my understanding. Is that correct? So just what can they say and not say?
In my understanding, that is at the discretion of the assembly. I'll just restate it here. May introduce his or her candidacy to the extent permitted by the voters at the meeting. And in my understanding, it's so the introduction of their candidacy would be confined to themselves and their candidacy. And it's the discussion about candidates, it's not open to public discussion. So, does that answer the question, Retta? Yes. Yeah, that's in the statute there, and we'll work through it. If anyone objects, raise an objection and we can address it, okay? All right. Any other questions about the nomination and election of town officers, the procedure? Okay, so here we go. The first town office up for election is the position of town treasurer for a term of 3 years. Are there nominations?
I nominate Lily Barron, our current treasurer.
Okay,
And I'd like to second that.
okay. Lizzie Higgins nominates Lily Barron, seconded by Michael Gray, and Bill Condon thirds. Okay, yeah. Okay. Lily, would you like to
Yeah.
rise and say hello?
Should I wait for the microphone?
Oh, thank you. Lily, you want to come up here?
Should I?
No, I'm just kidding, and take over for what I'm doing. No.
Hi everyone, it's nice to see everybody again. It's been a real joy getting to know all of you this past year. I'm honored to be up for re-election again this year for a 3-year term. I would recommend that everyone take a look at page 15 on their town report. It's my treasurer's report and kind of gives insight into what's been going on beyond the numbers. I'll say a few words about this position and how I view it. The most important thing that I can do as your treasurer is clearly and accurately communicate our financial position to the people who make the biggest financial decisions, the select board and you, the voters. It is of the utmost importance that they and you are able to make decisions with confidence. The only other thing that I'll say is that the money that I manage is your money, and it deserves sound and accurate stewardship of it. For this next year, I'm looking to, maintain a solid base for Woodbury's financial future. Any support would be greatly appreciated.
Are there other nominations? Oh. No, you may not direct questions to the candidate, yeah. Do you have a question about the nature of the office or about the procedure? I believe that would be acceptable. But this is not a time to engage in debate with the candidate. Yeah. Okay, fine. Amy Eldred? Yes?
Amy Hunt now.
Oh, Amy Hunt, okay.
I nominate Brandy Smith.
Okay. Amy Hunt nominates Brandy Smith, okay. Seconded by Mary Gangemi. Okay. Brandy Smith, would you like to address the assembly?
Hi, I am Brandy Smith. I was your treasurer for 11 years. And I care and give a shit about this town, excuse my language. It's working. There we go. So my concern in wanting the position back is the increase on the salary. So yeah, it comes down to the bottom line of money. And I don't like raking this town over. So I will be your treasurer if I am chosen. But thank you.
Are there other nominations? Hearing none, by unanimous consent, without objection, we will close nominations and move to the election. Patrick Flood.
Mr. Moderator, I'd like to request the paper ballot.
Okay. Are there at least 6 other people who would like to request a paper ballot? Yes, it's clear to me that there are more than 6. So we will conduct this vote by paper ballot. We'll just quickly review it. The ballots will be distributed to each registered voter, 1 ballot, one per 1 voter. You will fill out your election for either Lily Barron, or Brandy Smith, and you will come forward, and there'll be 2 ballot clerks, and you will insert your ballot and your ballot only, your 1 ballot in the box. You may not deposit someone else's ballot, but if you have trouble coming up to the front, the ballot clerks at the end will bring the ballot box to you.
The coffee's hot.
The coffee is now hot, so if you wish to.
Point of microphone for the important things.
Thank you.
So,
Okay, now,
make an announcement that they can only bring up their own ballots.
I did, I'll say it again. Just want to repeat that you may bring up only your own ballot. If there's somebody that can't come to the front before voting ends, the ballot clerks will bring the ballot box to you.
I didn't get my paper. Where do I get that from? One of the, Diana, it's Diana. Here.
You gonna vote?
I did?
No, did you vote?
Oh, I have to vote? Even if it's me?
Should vote.
Okay, yeah, give me that.
Oh, definitely vote.
I should definitely vote.
Hello, folks. I just want to ensure that everyone who wishes to cast a vote by paper ballot has. Is there anybody out here who has not yet cast their ballot?
Or needs a ballot box taken to them.
Or needs the ballot box taken to them? Hearing none, seeing none, without objection by unanimous consent, we will close voting by paper ballot. Okay, and now we move on to the counting the votes. The ballot clerks will count the votes and we'll be back soon. And I also want to announce there are bathrooms on the floor beneath us and then in the basement also. I was informed that there's a line in the downstairs. You may go one floor lower and go into the bathroom without a line. Nice to see you, Bob. Okay, pizza, yeah. Great to see you guys here, yeah. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, coming up in a couple of weeks. Hey, can I have a break? Is that sure?
When would be a good time for that? I would just like to say, just like a real quick thanks to Liz for, because she's done, right? And so it'd be nice just to take a moment, like have everybody recognize her.
You know, before we go to the vote on that,
You look to me.
yeah.
And just say, okay.
I was kind of hoping to have more fun. It's still allowed to request having my laundry done or in a timely manner and things like that.
Well, hold on.
Because I am usually available. It just takes like pre-planning.
You may make a point
No,
of
I
order.
had to take a break just due to the weather. We're going to come back and finish the exterior stuff. Just trying to fit snow is so much more expensive and it doesn't make
They have
sense.
the authority
So we're going to, as soon as spring comes, we're going to hit it hard.
and you could do that by raising your hand.
Are we doing a big master pile of, like, this is all my ideas? Or should I have, I didn't count mine. Should I have counted them? Should I have counted mine before I put them in?
It's a procedural matter.
So just file them.
We'll do it for anyone.
Okay.
Without objection by unanimous consent, if anyone objected to it, then we will put it to a vote. And non-voters will be permitted to vote only if they went to a vote, only by a two-thirds vote. Essentially, that would be a suspension of the rules. Yeah. Okay? Does that explain it? Yes. Yeah. Okay.
So these three are required to be done by ballot?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yep, the next three. Do you have any, just informally, do you have any questions for me about what's going on here? I'd be happy to talk about the procedure.
I wanted to propose something to the effect of there's a flag down by the flag down at the post office is getting kind of torn up already. I was going to propose something to the effect of the flag. And I know that my sister talked to me at school. That today. So I wasn't sure if I needed to bring it up
I will make a suggestion. I will make a suggestion. as to what I believe is the most appropriate time to bring that up.
We'll be like there.
You got it, yes, yes, yep. Because it doesn't squarely deal with any of these articles. And that's why towns include this. So there can be discussion about something that might have come up after the town report, after the warning was signed by the select board. There might have been something that come up, or something that just didn't make it onto the agenda. So that is it's non-binding, and it's often a time where people get up and they might put forward something to advise the select board, an advisory resolution or proposal. Does that make sense? That's the place right there to transact any other non-binding business that may legally come before the town. So it needs to be within the scope of the town's normal business. Yep. However, and there are exceptions to these are rules of order, but there are exceptions to rules. The assembly is not bound by these rules. They're bound by the common law. But the assembly may change the rules. And in order to change the rules, there's a high bar to clear. It's that 2/3 vote. It's not a simple majority. Remember, so many of these votes are resolved by a majority. So
52% works.
What's that?
52% is good enough.
Or even 50.1%. Yeah, right. So many questions are resolved by a majority vote, greater than 50%. And to suspend the rules, because these are the rules, they're established orders for these procedures. In order to change them, a higher bar
Okay, so I'm here for this is 25.
2/3 vote required to suspend them. Oh, so what I was going to say is sometimes there are world issues or international issues that people would like to discuss. During this article, it's not within the normal scope of the town's business. And I've had the experience here where the assembly decides to suspend the rules by a 2/3 vote and bring it up anyway because they feel that it's important. And they can do it. I feel like that's the beauty of it. The moderator's here to guide, but ultimately, it's, as I said in the introduction, the meeting proceeds by the will of the voters. I really appreciate you doing this. Mike, yeah. How's it going for you?
It's going pretty well.
Well, it may be simple, but it's very important. So thanks again. All right. If you have any more questions, let me know. I'm just going to get some more water here.
Okay.
All right. It's good to talk to you.
Remember, the coffee's hot now.
Coffee's hot. Yes.
Kind of in an awkward spot. What's that?
Like awkward spot to with the seats.
Right? Yeah.
We can always, but if you, are you comfortable?
Nope. Nope, there are none. But it means we're over. They miscounted.
Okay.
But we got it.
Is this one employee there or is he not?
All right.
This is the register.
Yeah, okay, that's cool.
123 registered voters signed in. Of 116 were cast. And this is how it breaks down.
Okay, great. So, under Robert's rules, you
think we
announce
suppose
what
in a
happened.
lot of
Okay. The total, but you don't say
That's cool though that
okay.
he's willing to help with that.
Are you ready to do that?
So I say 123 voters
Yeah, you
signed
could,
in,
you could tell everyone that. Yeah.
and then 116.
Just from my experience, like Tim and I have a lot of personal experience dealing with the people at Woodbury. Some of it's the older, like Bob Hope is no longer
Okay.
really
So
sort of there, but not really. A lot. Like from my experience, like my perspective, they obviously have to protect their own interests. That's what they do in business. What they want to work with local people.
Okay.
They're pretty generous.
All right.
They're not necessarily really into putting a lot of things in writing. Which
Emmett,
again,
do you want the
myself,
Emmett?
but like we had like financial dealings with them when we bought our sugar bush. And
Hello, folks. Folks.
they financed it for us.
Hello, folks. Okay. Okay.
It was a mutually beneficial thing, but like
The results of the voter in, they've been counted, and by order, our town clerk, Robin Durkee, is going to announce the results of the balloting.
We had 123 voters sign in. We had 116 people that cast ballot. Out of that, Lily got 98, Brandy got 18.
So, under Article 3, the election of town treasurer for a term of 3 years, Lily Barron is elected. Okay, our next position up for election is Select Board member for a term of 3 years. And before we accept nominations on that, we have a comment that would like to be made by our Select Board Chair, Chris Casey.
I just wanted to take a
Oh,
second and let you know how much we've appreciated having Liz Higgins. Thanks. Having Liz Higgins on the board, she's been like a real steady hand and pretty thoughtful member of our select board. So maybe a round of applause for Liz.
thank you guys all very much, and thank you, Chris.
Okay, so that brings us to the election of a Select Board member for a term of 3 years. Are there nominations? Paul Cerruti.
I nominate John Gordon.
John Gordon, nominated by Paul Cerruti. Phil Nolarendo, yes, seconds. Okay, John Gordon is nominated. John, would you like to stand and introduce your candidacy?
Hello everyone, I'm John Gordon. I've been in Woodbury for about 10 years at this point. At this visit, I've been in Woodbury for 10 years. Been working with the select board for a few years and with the town for a few years as the emergency management director. Most of that has been working on the buyout process in a couple of properties in town. Live up on the north side of Woodbury, work for the state of Vermont, director of adult protective services. So a bit about me. Nice to see you all, and nice to meet those of you that I haven't met before.
Other nominations? Hearing none, without objection by unanimous consent, we'll close nominations. And Paul Cerruti?
Make a motion that the clerk pass one ballot for John Gordon for select board.
Okay. Second by Mary Gangemi. So there's a motion, just explain if anyone doesn't understand. The clerk, if there's only one nominee on a vote by paper ballot, by a motion, the clerk can be directed to cast a single ballot, and that would validate the election for the sole candidate. So we have a motion here to instruct the town clerk to cast one ballot for John Gordon for the position of select board member for 3 years. Is there any debate? No. Does everyone understand the consequences of that vote? Okay. All those in favor of having the clerk cast that single ballot, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. The clerk will cast one vote for John Gordon, who is elected select board member for a term of 3 years. Okay, the next position up for election is Lister for a term of 3 years. This position is also elected by paper ballot. Are there nominations? Bonnie Collins, yes.
I would like to nominate Ron Wells.
Bonnie Collins nominates Ron Wells. Bill? Bill Condon. Bill seconds, okay? Bill Condon seconds. Ron, would you like to stand and introduce your candidacy? You don't have to stand. You don't have to stand.
Hello, folks. I've been here in town since 1996. I've been a lister for 17 years, and I have enjoyed serving the town. I would certainly enjoy serving the town for another 3 years. I thank you all.
Other nominations? Hearing none, without objection by unanimous consent, we'll close nominations and move on to the vote. Paul Cerruti.
I move the clerk cast one ballot for Ron Wells as listed.
Okay. Is there a second? Chris Codius seconds. Okay. Same as we just did in the last vote. There's a motion for the clerk to cast one ballot for Ron Wells. Any discussion on that motion? No. Okay. Hearing no discussion, we'll close debate and move on to the vote. All those in favor of instructing the town clerk to cast one ballot for Ron Wells for the position of lister for a term of 3 years, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. The clerk will cast one ballot for Ron Wells, who is elected lister for a term of 3 years. The next position up for election is auditor for a term of 3 years. This position, too, requires election by paper ballot. Are there nominations?
Nominate Retta Dunlop.
Mary Gangemi nominates Retta Dunlap.
I decline to run.
Okay, Retta declines the nomination. Okay? Are there other nominations? Skip Marcassani.
I nominate Retta again.
I believe that I believe that I believe that if someone, how do I say this? I've encountered if they do not accept nomination, that it cannot be reconsidered. So, so are there other nominations for auditor? Okay. Okay, Bob Martin nominates Susan Martin.
I second.
Okay, Mary Gangemi seconds. All right. Are there other nominations? No. Okay. Hearing none, and without objection by unanimous consent, we'll close nominations on the position of auditor, which must be elected by paper ballot. We have one nominee. Paul Cerruti. Okay, is there a second? Okay, Jane Noel Lorendo seconds that. So again, the motion is to instruct the clerk to cast one ballot for Susan Martin for the position of auditor for a term of 3 years. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll close debate and move on to the vote. All those in favor of having the clerk cast that ballot for Susan Martin, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no.
Thank you, Susan.
The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. The clerk will cast one ballot for Susan Martin for the position of auditor for a term of 3 years. Okay, moving on to the next election. The position is the collector of delinquent taxes for a term of 1 year. Are there nominations? Yes, Carolyn Stewart.
I nominate Ron Wells.
Carolyn Stewart nominates Ron Wells. Jane Noel Lorendo.
I second.
Okay, second for Ron Wells. Okay. Are there other nominations? Yes, Amy Hunt, yes. Brandy Smith, nominated by Amy Hunt. Okay. Are there other nominations? Yes, Brandy Smith.
As much as I appreciate your nomination, I'm declining.
Okay, Brandy Smith declines the nomination. Are there other nominations?
I'd like to say something for a second. I thank you for finding question number 1 out of this government. So she can go to Greensboro where she's appreciated. Thank God. She's finally been bullied out of here finally.
Okay. So we have one nominee. I believe what we're hearing is the bell to the front door.
I'll go check. It's automatically kicking in after 3 seconds.
Oh.
It's the kids.
Okay. Okay, so where were we? We have one nominee for the position of collector of delinquent taxes for 1 year. It's Ron Wells. Are there other nominations? Okay. Hearing none, without objection, and by unanimous consent, we'll close nominations. Ron Wells, being the only nominee, is elected by acclamation to the position of collector of delinquent taxes for a term of 1 year. Okay, the next position up for election is Cemetery Commissioner for a term of 5 years. Are there nominations? Yes, Patty Garbeck. Sorry, yes, please.
I nominate
Susan
Susan Steigley.
Steigley. Susan, would you like to stand and introduce your candidacy?
Hi, I'm Susan Steigley. I've been on the commission for a number of years now.
Oh.
Getting to know the central. It's surprisingly interesting getting to know the Cemetery Commission and cemeteries. And I have been the chair for the last couple of years, and I'm happy to continue.
Are there other nominations? Hearing none, without objection and by unanimous consent, we'll close nominations. Susan Steigley, being the only nominee, is elected Cemetery Commissioner for a term of 5 years. The next position up for election is Cemetery Commissioner for a term of 2 years. Are there nominations? Susan Steigley. Khaki Peltz is nominated and seconded by Carol Ray. Khaki, would you like to stand and introduce your candidacy?
I'm Kathy Peltz. I'd be glad to run for Cemetery Commission. I haven't been on this Cemetery Commission before, so I'm willing to give it a try. Thank you.
Are there other nominations? Hearing none, without objection, by unanimous consent, we'll close nominations. And Khaki Peltz, being the only nominee, is hereby elected Cemetery Commissioner for a term of 2 years. The next position up for election is Library Trustee for a term of 2 years. Are there nominations? Yes, Dee Dee Avery. Allie Schmidt, nominated by Dee Dee Avery. Is seconded in tandem, seconded by, I heard Dave Barber first, and shortly behind Alicia Rennie. So Allison Schmidt? Allison Schmidt, oh, here she, okay. Yeah, please introduce your candidacy if you wish.
Hi all, I am Allie Schmidt, full name Allison. My husband, daughter, and I moved to Woodbury in July, so a new resident, eager to get involved in the town, and the library is a perfect place for me to get involved. I'm an avid reader and really stand behind what the library brings to the community, so excited to hopefully join.
Are there other nominations? Hearing none, without objection, by unanimous consent, we'll close nominations. And Allie Schmidt, being the only nominee, is elected Library Trustee for a term of 2 years. The next position up for election is Hazen Union School District Director for a term of 3 years. Are there nominations? Chris Casey.
I will nominate Steve Freihofner, who's not here. Steve let me know that he is willing to do it. He's done it for 12, 15 years now. He's also happy to let somebody else do it. So if there's any interest in that from anybody here that would like to be involved, please go for it. Steve said he'll do it, but he's also happy to pass the torch. So. Yes, for sure. Yep.
Are there other nominations? Hearing none, without objection by unanimous consent, we will close the nominations. Stephen Freihofner, being the only nominee, is elected Hazen Union School District Director for a term of 3 years. That concludes the election of our town officers, and please, let's thank all the candidates and elected officers. The question, Ronald Wells, is this it's proper to make a comment if it's on a point of order or information? You want to make a thanks? Ron said he would like to thank some people, so without objection by unanimous consent, Ron can make some thanks.
I would just like to thank everyone for coming out here and voting. This is the largest group of people I've seen for quite some time. And I thank you for your support. And I'll do the damn best I can for all of you.
Okay. All right. The next article up for consideration is Article 4, Is there, what is your pleasure with respect to Article 4 as stated in the warning? Paul Cerruti. Paul Cerruti moves Article 4. Is there a second? Second. Okay, Skip Marcassani seconds. We're at Article 4 in the warning, and I will restate the article, and then we'll put it out for discussion. Article 4. Shall the town have its taxes paid to the town treasurer as tax receiver 60 days after tax bills are mailed? The estimated due date will be October 29, 2026. After the due date, taxes will become delinquent and be turned over to the collector of delinquent taxes for collection with a penalty of 0.5% per month that increases by 0.5% per month of delinquency up to a maximum of 6% if delinquent for 1 full year. Interest of 0.5% per month will also be charged. All of this revenue goes to the town. Is there a discussion on Article 4? No. Okay. Hearing none, without objection, by unanimous consent, we'll close debate and move to the vote. Does everyone understand the consequences of a yes and no vote here? Okay. All those in favor of adopting Article 4, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Article 4 is passed. Article 5, as stated in the warning. What is your pleasure with respect to Article 5? Skip Marcassani. Skip moves Article 5. Is there a second? Susan Martin? Okay, Susan Martin seconds. Article 5, I will restate here, and then we'll move to consideration. Shall the town vote to exempt property owned by and used for the purposes of our nonprofit volunteer fire, rescue, and ambulance services? If so voted, such property also will be exempt from the education grand list and the equalized education grand list. Any discussion? No? Okay. Yes, Susan Steitley. Oh, Susan, if you could just wait 1 second. Thank you.
I'm just wondering what that means and how much that is. Taxes that won't be paid.
Okay. Is there someone that could answer Susan's question? Paul Cerruti, okay.
So I'm not a lister, but my understanding of this article is the volunteer fire department's a private nonprofit corporation, so our property is not statutorily exempt from the property tax. So when they do the grand list for the education fund, we would need to include whatever tax value of our property, get a tax bill, which would ultimately be passed to you folks. So it's kind of money going around in a circle is my understanding, and I hope that's an okay explanation because that's the most I know of it. And I think we have to do that every 10 years. Was the last time we considered it 10 years? Robin may know more.
I did research on that after Thursday night's meeting. We have to do it every 5 years.
Okay. I know it's been, you said last time was 16, right?
The last time it was done was in 2017.
Any other debate on Article 5? Hearing none, without objection and by unanimous consent, we'll close debate on Article 5 and move to the vote. Does everyone understand the consequences of a yes or no vote? Okay. All right. All those in favor of Article 5, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Article 5 is passed. Moving to Article 6, as stated in the warning. What is your pleasure with respect to Article 6? Skip Marcassani. Article 6, moved by Skip. Susan Martin. Second. Susan seconds. Okay. Article 6, I will restate, and then we'll put it out for debate. Article 6, shall the town appropriate $25,888 to the Woodbury Volunteer Fire Department to fund the truck loan repayment? No, pardon me. To fund the truck loan payment in the amount of $23,888 and to fund the truck maintenance reserve in the amount of $2,000, both to be paid in full by July 1st, 2026. Is there discussion? No. Hearing none. Without objection, by unanimous consent, we will close debate on Article 6 and move to the vote. Does everyone understand the consequences of the vote? Okay. All those in favor of Article 6, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Article 6 is passed. Moving to Article 7, as stated in the warning. What is your pleasure with respect to Article 7? Bill, I see second maybe. I saw Bill Condon first. Bill Condon moves Article 2nd. Sarah Van Hoff seconds. Okay. And here I will restate Article 7. Shall the town appropriate $134,990.88 to fund the operations of the Woodbury Volunteer Fire Department? The Capital Replacement Fund to be paid in full by January 1st, 2027 in the amount of $35,000 and the operating expenses of operating expenses of $99,990.88 paid in quarterly installments of $24,997.72 starting July 1st, 2026. Is there discussion? Bill Condon. Oh, hold 1 second, Bill.
I can speak loud enough. They saved my life again this year. They saved it last year. They deserve every last penny they get.
Other discussion under Article 7. Yes, Libby Case.
So well done, wasn't it? Thank you. I don't know if this is the right place for the question, but I'm just wondering if Calais is paying its fair share into Woodbury based on the number of runs that are done every year. And I don't know if this is the place to ask that, Paul.
Libby, I believe it's appropriate because it has to do with the funding of the fire department, and Calais shares part of the expense. So yes, I believe it's in order. Yeah, thank you.
So the answer to that.
Okay, I heard a yes.
Yes,
Please
come on up. Okay.
Yeah.
At the end of our stuff, I'd like to speak if it's okay too. So the answer to that question is Calais pays 50% of capital. So those capital funds, they're paying 50%. For operating, they're paying 1/3. And I see this year there's quite a disparity, particularly in the number of EMS runs. And what we've seen over the years is Calais tends to be always a little bit more than Woodbury because they're a larger population, but not the entire town receives the entire benefit. So they pay East Montpelier 50% of their capital and a third of their operating. So to keep the cost somewhat in line and in line with the service provided, that's what's been done. Is that clear enough? It is right now. If we keep seeing a big change, we might have to relook at the operating side of it. We've got a lot going on right now, so we've decided not to upset the apple cart. We get too many balls in the air because we've got the potential addition, we've got the buyout, there's a lot going on. So just trying not to give us more something we couldn't get done.
Folks, without objection, by unanimous consent, we've got up here Paul Tsudi, who's our fire chief, and Retta Dunlap, who's the president of the fire department. And customarily, there's an exchange, questions and exchange, and it's usually more practical
You're not
to have
cranking
them
your necks
up
around.
here to address you all. So that's how we'll do it here if you have questions on Article 7. You guys okay with that? Yeah, all right. Question? Yes, please, Bruce Tucker, yes.
Yeah, my question is, it wouldn't hurt to have him go over and explain where the fire department's headed, what they're looking to do in the future. I mean, they've got a lot of money to spend right now. And so I just think it needs to be explained so people that are here that don't understand, you know, can get a better idea of where the money's going. And, you know, that's my biggest question at this point.
Okay, yep. Yeah, that's on. Yeah, thank you. We can keep that, yeah.
So our plan is to continue operating as we have been. What you're seeing in the budget are just the realities of the expenses that we pay. The only, there's a stipend that's paid to each member, so if you go on a 1-hour call, you get $12.50 for that call, and if you go on a 14-hour call, you get $12.50. So the only money the members get is a stipend per call to cover gasoline and ruined clothes and things like that. The rest of it is paying insurance, fuel, dispatching. So I don't foresee the operation of the fire department changing in the near future. You know, the next 5 to 10 years, I can't speak further than that. But when we see changes in what we're doing, it's us responding to operations. We're in a position where we have to respond to whatever the changing environment around us is. So the types of emergencies we're responding to, that's what we have to respond to. You have to say, we're going to start handling this. We're going to farm it off. How are we going to do it? So does that somewhat answer your question? There's no major changes coming.
Excuse me, without objection, we can, Bruce can reply. It's the second time, unless anyone else would like to make a comment before. Okay, you may, yep, you can speak, sure. Yeah.
Where it's headed, what, they're gonna be adding on to the station again. They just barely got it built. Something they'd been after for years, and they finally got their station built. But now they're talking about building an addition on it. Why? That's a question that just makes me kind of curious. I mean, what are they planning to add to the services that they've already got where they need the additional space? I mean, it's, at some point, there's got to be an evening thing. You've got to realize Woodbury's not a huge town, and there's a lot of other communities around that have fire departments. They have a mutual aid system, which helps each towns out, but the idea of that was to keep costs down in small towns. So, where are they headed? That's my biggest thing.
Okay.
I thought I answered that part. We're not going anywhere. The addition, if people remember when the original plan for the building was for 7,000 square feet. And because of funding constraints, we were not able to do that. So we built a 4,100 square foot building. The intent had been to keep the old station in the middle of the village. Unfortunately, that got destroyed in a flood, and we flooded in 23 and 24. So that's why we needed the extra space. Funding for this new space is being paid for by a congressional earmark that Senator Sanders pushed through the office for us, which we received in 2024. Unfortunately, we received that too late to pay the new station cost with it because we'd already gone out to bid, we had the funding source, and they don't allow you to cancel your funding source and redo it. So I met with the Senator's office, and the Senator in particularly, and the USDA, and they said, yeah, we would, instead of turning those funds in and not spending them, they said, we will allow you to build the space that you lost onto your new building. So that's why we're doing it that way. That wasn't the original intent, but we have funding, and it's not costing Woodbury voters any money as long as we can get it done.
We have, yep, Bruce, hold on, we might come back to you, but we do have someone who hasn't spoke yet, they have a right to.
Add something to that.
Okay, you're still responding to, Bruce, yep, we have another response to you here from Retta, yep.
Just know that we have the annex building, which had a truck in it, and the furnace failed this winter, so that building, the fire department half has no oil or no heat. We finally got some in for the food bank. But we had to move a truck back to the old building so it wouldn't freeze. So we still have equipment in that building and in the old station that don't fit in the current station because we lost the use of the old station. So that's what that addition on the building is going to do. We're going to be able to put all the equipment under one roof, hopefully. We're unsure what we're going to do with the annex in the future. And can I say something on the next one, or do you want the?
On Article 8?
Yeah.
No,
Okay,
please
I have
wait,
something
we'll
there.
come back then.
So that's,
Yep.
you know, as someone who's not a firefighter and not EMS, and I'm just the business manager, and I've been watching the fire department for 3-4 years now, and, you know, I'm amazed, like all of you, the things they do, and they teach me new ways to die. Anyway, it is, you know, $12.50 a call is really not much at all. And they're doing this as it's a life, it's like their thing. It's like a family. And I just watch them work, and they come and they train and they go to calls. And so I don't know where in the future this is going to go, but I do know that we need volunteers. Not just Woodbury, but the emergency service system needs volunteers, both firefighters and EMS, and an accountant. Our treasurer's retiring, and we need to find a new treasurer. If anyone's interested, talk to me. Because it is getting hard out there, and mutual aid, you mentioned mutual aid. Thank God for mutual aid, because if no one in Woodbury can respond, they go on to the next station. They'll go to Hardwick, or they'll to East Montpelier. If that fails, they'll go into Barry. And so that you get the resources into where the problem is. But they're coming from further and further away now, because we don't have enough people in these towns, not just Woodbury, in these towns. So that's something in the future. If you're looking to something to talk about in the future, is how do we get volunteers? And that's something I see as a concern, just basically as an outsider in the middle of their station learning how to die.
Okay, we have a speaker here. Marcial Rodriguez Arenal. Hi. Yes, please. Here's Marcial. There's a mic. Thank you.
My ears perked, and that is that mutual aid, coming from a city where we got paid really well to do what we do, and it was a huge part of the budget. Basically, Gret addressed what I was going to say, part of it, which was that it's a huge amount of money, and volunteers are basically what is keeping this alive. When you work in a big city, you're getting paid, and you're getting paid well, and they're always begging you to stay, and it's overtime, and it's more overtime, and it's more overtime until finally you tell your lieutenant that you can't keep your eyes open anymore, and that you got to rest, and then they'll find somebody else to stick in there. So mutual aid is a manpower thing. It's not a saving money. Actually, you're losing money. If you figured out the cost when you call these people to come help you, and you are going to pay them what you should be paying them, you'd be losing, you'd just be pouring money down the waterfall. So the answer is, and that was the thing that I heard that, and I'm like, wait a second, that has to stand corrected. There's no, mutual aid is because when you get to a call, you don't have enough people. So in New York City, there's like every few blocks is a station. The minute they get a call, they try to determine how many people they're going to need, and the battalion chief's already floating around, and he's there. The minute he sees that there's a problem, he's calling more people, and then you have people coming from all over to help this little thing. So that's kind of like that. Chief Cerruti gets there, he sees there's a problem, it's going to be bigger than the 10 guys that he has behind him, if he's lucky. All right, call these guys, call those guys, etc., right? Same problem with West Woodbury. Woken and Hardwick go first because they're going to beat us there. So that's where don't think of it as a cost, where volunteers are keeping the fire and EMS thing alive. The minute you start paying people what they should make, and you look at other big cities' budgets, you need the populations to pay that kind of money. We just don't have that. So that's all I wanted to say, was like, stop thinking about money. This is not about money. She nailed it. We need volunteers, and that's it. So thank you. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say. Amen.
Okay, any other discussion? Yes, Bob Martin. Bob, could you hold once? Here comes the mic.
Bob Martin. I'm not in the fire department. But two things. One, with the EMS numbers, do you have them split into the overdoses of the young and the olds that fall down and don't bounce?
But the question, did we split those?
Yeah.
So I really can't and put it into a public record because of HIPAA
That's what I
laws.
thought, yeah.
I can tell you overdoses are down some, although not gone. It's always going to be a part of our response. I would say anecdotally, the largest percentage of our EMS runs are for older folks that are having some health emergencies. And we're generally providing care in 5 to 10 minutes when the ambulance is 15 to 20 minutes away. So, that's why we did it.
Second thing is the 5-mile distance from the fire department. That makes a huge difference in your insurance. Are there very many places in town that are beyond the 5-mile radius that you know? I mean,
So
don't name anybody.
What Bob's referring to is when your insurance premiums are set, they go by either the 10-year loss average, which Woodbury does very well. We're an ISO class 8 town, 1 being the best, 10 being the worst. Because we don't have paid firefighters or municipal hydrant water system, 8's the best we can do. So we've achieved the highest rating we can achieve. We worked very hard on that. So anyone within 5 miles of the Woodbury Fire Station receives a reduced premium on their homeowner's insurance. Insurance companies in the last couple of years have taken massive losses with the floods, the fires, and you've noticed your rates are climbing. And so we're doing it's not all us, the voters providing the needed funds to keep equipment updated, to buy the right stuff, have kept your premiums down. For people outside of that 5-mile range, it goes by company, but some of the phone calls, for Woodbury, it's the West Woodbury folks that are probably outside that, but I get the call from Calais most commonly where someone had a $600 a month insurance premium. Their carrier said, hey, you're 5.2 miles from the Woodbury or East Montpelier fire station. Now your premiums are $8,000 to $10,000 a year because you need a high-risk insurance. So there's that benefit that's provided by having this. No fire protection a lot of times will equal no mortgages because you got to have homeowners to get a mortgage. So this is the stuff that I keep track of to make sure we're in good standing. We're testing equipment. We're testing our members. We're fitting. We're making sure all the stuff works. So when the insurance industry office comes and checks, we get credit for the investment that was made in money and time. It takes both to make it work. That answer?
John Gordon.
So I'm a non-voting member of the fire department, which basically means I go to the business meeting and I typically go to truck check. And for those of you who want to see more of that operations, I'm sure that we could arrange that so you could have a chance to see inside of that. But I know for all of you that drive by, you see this new building, this new structure, this new facility. What does that mean in practical terms? Well, in the town report, you can see there's about 220 calls last year. That's about a call 2 out of every 3 days almost. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of business. Sometimes they stack up. Sometimes you get one call while you're at another. And I'm not a responding member, so I can't speak to that process. But one of the simple things that I do is I help out at truck check. Now they have a facility that actually facilitates the job that they're doing. In the past, 2 firefighters couldn't walk between the trucks and the old machine, or in the old building. Now, when they do their truck check, they can actually do it in the building instead of having to pull the trucks out in the cold. And this is just one little thing. What I'm really pointing to is the facility allows them to respond much more quickly with much less friction, much more effectively with equipment that's been able to be looked at and reviewed in a facility that helps them actually do their job. The old facility, yeah, they could work out of it, and they did for many years. Many firefighters did a lot of work out of the old facility for many years, but it didn't really help them do their job. And so now the facility they have actually, because of the trust that you gave and the money that you gave to them, allow them to build a facility that actually helps them do their job and respond in a timely manner. And so they are working on the finishing up of the expansion to bring more of the equipment under one roof. It's all really to try to improve the service, help them do that job, and really, like you said, most of the responses are measured in single-digit minutes, when the other response coming out of Hardwick is double-digit minutes. And when you make that call, those minutes matter.
Clap, 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 clap.
Other discussion, Mary Gangemi. Microphone, here it is. Mary, yes.
Okay, this past winter, there were 2 incidents. One was a rather serious auto accident, young man from Woodbury. And the other was some electricians were returning back from a job, and one of them had a seizure. And I'm glad that they came to my house, and I called 911 on both occasions. The fire department, they were there within 10 minutes. And the guy that was having the seizure really needed some care. So it was really important that you guys showed up. And the young man, even though he wasn't physically hurt, he was in shock. You could see the color was gone. He was like, his eyes are going back and forth. It was kind of scary to watch that. But yet when they got here, Dana Hoppy came down from the Hill. He's part of the EMS. And, they were wonderful. So what would have happened if they weren't available, if they weren't around? So we really need these services. And even if we had to pay more money, I think it's worth it. I think it's absolutely worth it. Thank you.
Clap, 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 clap.
Skip Marcassani. Oh, Skip, here comes the mic.
And there are times that the fire department shows up when you didn't even call them.
He was having steak dinner when I got there.
My wife and I were cooking lunch, excess smoke coming up from the stove, set off the fire alarm, and given our age, we had that call into a central service. The central service screwed up our phone numbers. They couldn't get in touch with us, so what do? They call the state of Vermont emergency number, which eventually filtered down to the Woodbury Fire Department. So a half hour later, I happen to be at the kitchen sink, and I look out my window, and there's the fire department. So I quickly ran upstairs and said, "What are you doing here?" Paul said, "We got called out for a fire at your house." I said, "Oh, the fire alarm went off. I bet you the central service screwed up." And Paul said, "It's a good thing you were home, because if you weren't, because of that alarm, we are required to break into your house to check, and you're looking at probably $2,000 worth of damage." This is a true story. I kid you not. But they were there. Okay? They showed up. And Paul said, this is an aside, but talk to Paul about this. Paul said, if you want to avoid damage when we have to break into your house if you're not here, or suppose somebody calls and wants to do a welfare check because you've got carbon monoxide in your house and you're passed out, okay, put a little thing called a Knox box on the front of your house. That's a secure box. Inside that box is a key to your house. and any codes that they need to get in. And the only people that can get into that box is the fire department. So we put one of those up to avoid having our front door destroyed if we both get knocked out or something. So again, the service that these guys provide just absolutely amazes me. Thank you for that.
Ron Wells, yeah. Okay, Ron Wells calls the question. Is there a second? Yes. I'm sorry, I forget your name. Kara Hooper. Oh, thank you. Kara Hooper seconds. So we have a motion and a second to call the question. Call, for anyone who doesn't know, call the question means we are going to go to a vote right now. Under the rules, this is orderly, to stop debate and move immediately to voting on Article 7. This is all in order. So the question before us now is, shall we call the question, that is, cease debate on Article 7 and move directly to the vote? In order to be adopted, it requires 2/3 vote. There's no debate. It's not amendable. So, does everyone understand the consequences of this vote coming up? We're not voting on Article 7. We are simply voting to cease debate on Article 7, and the next step would be to move directly to the vote on Article 7. Any questions about the procedure here? No, okay. Because it's going to require a 2/3 vote, we may need a count, and if so, we will. But I will ask by a show of hands. All those in favor of calling the question, meaning ceasing debate and moving directly to a vote on Article 7, please raise your hands. Okay, thank you. You may put them down. All those opposed to calling the question, please raise your hand. It's clear to me the ayes have it. The question is called. That motion passes. So now we move directly to the vote on Article 7. Does everyone understand the consequences of this vote now? This is an up or down on Article 7 as stated in the warning. Okay. All right. All those in favor of Article 7, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Article 7 is passed. Now, I see that we are joined by our state representatives, Saudia Lamont and David Iacovoni. They are not voting members of the town. However, customarily, we invite our representatives to address the assembly and then field some questions and have an exchange. So, without objection, by unanimous consent, we may have objection here. John Gordon.
I object. I would like us to address Article 8 before we change the subject, so to speak.
Okay. Okay. We have objection to that, so we have Article 8 before us. Article 8 is stated in the warning. Is there a motion on Article 8? Patrick Flood moves Article 8. John Gordon seconds Article 8. I will restate that here. Article 8. Shall the town appropriate $100,100 to the Woodbury Volunteer Fire Department to fund the loan payment for the Fire and Emergency Operations Center paid November 1st, 2026? Is there discussion? Hearing none, without objection and by unanimous consent, we'll close debate on Article 8 and move to the vote. All those in favor of Article 8, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Article 8 is passed. Yes. Paul had asked previously if he could address the assembly. Without objection, by unanimous
I'll be
consent,
short.
Paul will make some brief remarks.
So number one, I wanted to thank you for the support. I think they were all good and fair questions. Just to keep you updated on what's going on, the drugs activity has subsided some, but isn't over. I think that's going to be part of our experience for a long time. So just be aware of that. Just so you know, the types of emergencies we're responding to are not benign. In the last 2 years, we've responded to 2 shootings. We've responded to at least 4 individuals with severe burns from house fires from 3 different incidents, where we're arriving, finding houses on fire and people severely burned right up as clear as November. I've got a point to bringing all this up. We've had car accidents, a couple in the last year, very severe, where an individual had a heart attack, the car went end over end, and we find someone not breathing, hanging upside down in their seatbelt. Another incident in November where 2 individuals hit a tree at over 50 miles an hour. One individual had a ruptured aorta. The doctor said he shouldn't have lived, and the individual lived. When I got at UVM, they said this patient shouldn't live. Why I'm telling this is can I have my members stand up? Anyone who's been on? Chris, stand up. So this, why I wanted to talk about this is this doesn't happen by accident. It happens through the investment you just made, but their investment. So I tend to be up front. Everybody sees me. I want you to know that I'm not the guy doing all this work. Those folks back there, and there's a number that are at work. There's a number of people that can't be here today, but they're the ones you want to thank for being prepared, because there's no luck in any of this. Luck is where preparation meets opportunity. It's not an accident that those people are alive today. It's due to the hard work of these folks and due to the funding you provided. So I wanted to just share that there's a lot of, we're a small town, but the same serious incidents that happen in very large towns happen here, although at a lower frequency, which makes it harder to prepare, because it seems like, well, why did we buy that expensive a piece of equipment? Well, because tomorrow I might need it. I might need it 5 minutes from now. That being said, these people are volunteers, and we're experiencing the same downward trend that we are nationally of volunteerism, that we're seeing at every level in the town. So anybody that feels compelled, we could definitely use more help. We provide all the training. If you think you're too old, you might not be. There's probably a job for you. It can be tough emotionally, because we deal with a lot of hard things. We deal with life and death. But it also is very rewarding. When you get a call from the doctor saying, hey, I've never had anybody live through a transected aorta that was in Woodbury, and 1 hour later they're at UVM having surgery, that's amazing. And I thank all those people. I just wanted to recognize, because I think sometimes they think I'm the fire department. I'm just the guy in front right now. It's going to be someone else someday. These are the people that keep it working. Thank you. I'll speak for Retta too. As I said, we still are looking for a treasurer. We haven't had anybody bite yet. We handle a lot of funds, and it's important to us to manage those funds properly. So if you're an accountant type, it's a 3 to 4 hour a week commitment. There is a small stipend. You get a nice office and a nice little private space to work in, and you get to work with Retta and I a lot. So if you're so inclined, come see us. As I said, there's a role for, if you feel like you want to try to volunteer, we have a position for that. So come see us if you're inclined.
Remember, you can be a non-voting member and help with truck check. Help them help you. Yeah, so just let us know.
Thank you.
Okay, having completed Article 8, I will raise this point of order again with respect to our representatives. Skip Marcassani? Okay. If there's no objection to that, then yes. If folks would like to begin coming up for food service, and before we begin, I will put to you that without objection by unanimous consent, our legislators would be invited to come up and speak for 5 minutes each. after which there could be another 10 minutes of questions and answers. And if you wish, that could be extended, but it will be limited initially to 5 minutes of comments. Without objection, yes, Anna Peltz.
I just ask that if we're eating, we try to keep the noise to a minimum out of a respect to be able to hear what they're saying.
Yes, yes. Okay. Okay. Let's try it. Okay. So we welcome up our legislators, Representative Saudi Lamont and David Iacovone.
Good afternoon. I will be very brief. I promise I will not keep you from lunch. Thank you for allowing us to interject for very briefly to give you some in-person updates. Saudia Lamont, House General and Housing. We have been working to, I'm just going to give you a quick update on the things we've been working on. I also have some joint town meeting reports here that I'll leave in the back for you if you so desire, and there'll be some stuff going out online as well. So in House General and Housing, we have been working to approach our housing situation through various ways. We passed 3 bills out of committee that are pretty complex. One was 772, we'll come back to that, but 775, which was our finance, they called it housing finance, which was to promote the production of housing. And what that does is it allows municipalities to work in partnership to apply for some bonds to build additional housing. And we also, in that was some modular homes, so that the state would approve the structures for a certain, sort of like an imprint, so to speak, that are already pre-approved, so to limit the permitting restrictions as going forward. So it'd be very, to like sort of ease up the development phase of housing. That was one venue that passed. It is now in Ways and Means, because there were also some tax cuts in there, and so that had to go to Ways and Means to figure out those aspects. We worked in partnership with Commerce because it has to do with municipalities, and that was that portion. H775 was a manufactured homes bill, and what that does is it acknowledges that manufactured homes are actually permanently fixed housing. They're not, in fact, mobile homes, so we finally made that official change from mobile homes to manufactured homes. And in doing so, the goal is to allow financial agencies to provide different types of funding, which would hopefully increase home ownership opportunities, because now they can be considered property and not personal loans. So that's another avenue in the housing aspect. And then the last one that I said I would come back to is 772, which is landlord tenant, which was very challenging. We just passed out a few days ago. The intent was to find some balance in shortening the eviction process and providing opportunities for tenants to improve their credit by, if they pay their rent on time, to create a system that allows credit building, to provide education through CVOEO for tenant readiness and tenant awareness on how to be a proper tenant and those types of things. And some other timeline changes throughout the eviction process to help landlords who are having problematic tenants that are damaging their property, remove them more swiftly and more effectively to get that unit back online to someone who will respect the property. So we also did 2 labor bills, one for retired teachers. They were corrections. So we passed some legislation previously where the retirement age was not congruent with the federal law, so we just went back and changed it to even it out. And then we did something similar with another labor bill that is remiss to me because I've been focused on housing all week, so I apologize. And that's it. I said I'd be brief, and I'll open it up for Dave.
I think I can reach that, yeah. Thank you, folks. I mentioned to a friend who drove me here today what I was going to speak about, and he said, "Oh, well, be careful. You'll upset them." And I thought of an old friend of mine, the late Stub Earle, who often would remind me. He'd say, "Tell it like it is, Dave. Tell it like it is." Of course, that's in the eye of the beholder. There's some 3,600 tax filers in the state of Vermont who earn over $500,000 a year. These folks will be the beneficiaries, on average, of $57,000 in their pocket from tax money that they will save. I believe it's not unreasonable to try to do some sharing, to say to those 3,600 tax filers making over $500,000 a year, we want to assess what I consider modest, they may not, a 3% surcharge, income tax surcharge, which raises close to $80 to $90 million, depending on our Joint Fiscal Office estimates. There are so few who have so much, and so many who have so little. I believe Vermont's at a crossroad. It's not that I dislike wealthy people. I congratulate them on however they may have accumulated it, assuming it's legal. I really don't. The data shows that the tax flight some worry about doesn't happen. Massachusetts at a millionaire's tax, and a few other selected states have, and people haven't bolted. They like the beauty of, I think they'll like the beauty of our state, the relative safety, the health of it, perhaps their grandkids. I don't think they'll run off. Why do I raise this? I sit on the Appropriations Committee. Yesterday I learned that those who are blind and deaf in Vermont who receive interpreter services cost over $100,000 a year. That program's slated to be eliminated. That's not the Vermont I know. Last week I learned that a program called Elderly Clinicians, who serve depressed, anxious, lonely senior citizens in our state and help them with their counseling, etc., is slated to be eliminated. Day before yesterday, I learned that one quarter of all our high school students are chronically absent from school. Then I also learned that we have 74 what are called high-hazard dams in the state of Vermont. High-hazard dam means if it fails, there'll be a loss of life somewhere in the area. 10 of those are in poor condition. We've lost 35% of our dairy farms in this decade alone. My friends have told me, you always talk about gloomy and dark things, Dave. And those who know me, I'm not a gloomy person. But it's the reality that we're facing. And with a limited tax base, we're in a real pickle, a real jam of how to get out of this. So I look for some tax sharing to help us in some way. Yes, we need a vibrant economy. Yes, we need appropriate development that won't change the landscape of Vermont that I think we all love. But we need to work on these things, and in my committee, that's what these and other issues are what I'm working on. I would greatly appreciate it if I'm singing a song that doesn't resonate with you, drop me a note. I need to represent you. I make assumptions of how you might feel. They're just assumptions. So it's important for me to know how you feel on these kinds of issues. Thank you.
Questions and answers, which may be extended if you wish. First, Patrick Flood, I recognize here. Microphone, here it comes.
Thank you both very much for what you do. I know it's not an easy job. But I want to ask about one particular issue, which I know your committee does not deal with. But it's huge for the state of Vermont, and that's the cost of health care. Health care in the state of Vermont actually comprises 20% of our state, what do we call it, gross product. 20% of what we do, what we build, what we spend money on in this state is health care. It's grossly inflated in this state. We are one of the most expensive states in the country per person, which basically means, since America is the most expensive place in the world per person, Vermont is one of the most expensive places in the world to get health care, which is why so many people cannot pay their premiums, which is why so many people cannot find a primary care physician. And we do not have a comprehensive proposal from the governor's office to deal with that. And I'd like your response to that, even though I know it's not your committee of jurisdiction. If we do not get a handle on the cost of health care, people are dying today because they cannot get health care. And we won't go into examples. But we need to fix this, and I have not heard a single serious proposal from the governor's office on how we're going to deal with that. So I'd like your 2 cents in response.
My 2 cents. You speak the truth. There has not been any single substantive, any proposal that's come to us. There are people who are working on this. Most of the solutions, however, do not address the cause, they address the symptom. I won't go into those. I could. The real answer, in my opinion, lies outside of the state of Vermont. I met last fall with Bernie Sanders and a couple other legislators, and if you know Bernie, which I'm sure you do, there's truth to this. It's not just radical, it's the insurance industry. We think about pharmaceuticals, and we have what are called pharmaceutical benefit managers. They work for the insurance company. One might call that a conflict. So the real answer is changing the model of healthcare on the national level. Without that, there's things we can do, but they just take the temperature down a little. It's like giving somebody a Tylenol. It's okay for a little bit, but the underlying cause is still there. We can do reference-based pricing. We can do more to find primary care folks. I'm a member of the Primary Care Caucus, and we're pushing hard to at least get an analysis done on what the savings would be if everyone in this state had access to primary care and it was carved out of the insurance premium. None of that is coming from the governor. That's from a layperson legislature that's trying to do it. So I wish I had something more solid. I feel exactly the passion you do. We're not alone, though. There are others who feel the same way.
The answer, there's a question in the, okay, no. The only answer that I have is universal health care would be really helpful if we could see something in those lights. We have a universal health care caucus that has been working to try to get our state government to follow through with the promise that was promised. years ago when the universal health care was enacted and we're not following through with what we were told. How do we push that needle and get it to happen? We just keep having the conversations, unfortunately. But I will say, I would love to see, and I was just talking with some healthcare folks from University UVM on Thursday. I would love to see our healthcare system actually focus on healthcare and not be a sick care illness. If insurance companies got paid for people who were well and not from medication for treatment, we might see a difference in the structure on how we are paying out of pocket. But I don't have any direct solutions on how to fix that, so I apologize, but the fight continues.
Retta Dunlap. I see some other hands, but Retta, yep, we'll come over there.
Okay, I'm going to bring up two separate issues. It's not so much a question, it's just something I want to inform you of so that you know how one of your constituent feels. One of it has to do with Act 250 and these corridors. I'm going to put it real blunt. Please don't take offense. This is theft of my property. These corridors are stealing my value in my property. Now, I own 12 acres, and my husband has Alzheimer's, and I'm saying, you know, I could sell half of it because his care will get expensive. And then along comes this whole corridor thing for the animals. And believe me, I see lots of animals, including moose that swim in the lake. And I'm like, I could sell it, but who could build? Because Act 250, I know it's a tier 3, the Act 250 permitting process will be less, but it will still cost some young family who wants to buy 6 acres of land to build a house, $20,000 to do it because of this Act 250 corridor. And I think we need to stop it. I know it's a law already, it needs to be repealed as far as I'm concerned. Because we've got a lot of land here in town that's in trusts, I don't think it's being taxed. Let's count that land too, as the preservation gets you to 50% probably. So I'm just emotionally beside myself on that issue there, because it directly affects me, and I don't believe the legislature's looking out for me. That's how I'm feeling. I have another issue, but can they respond to that one?
I read your article in the Vermont Daily Chronicle.
Thank you.
I and others are working hard to at least delay Act 181.
Thank God.
To try to get the N2 focus on remediating Tier 3. Most of Vermont is already in conservation. The solution is too radical in my opinion. I think I'm somewhat hopeful we're going to succeed, by the way.
Thank you. And
that conversation has come up, and that was the first thing I said when I got back this year, and we've been advocating for that. So it is on our radar. Please be aware that those conversations are happening.
Thank you.
Yeah, in the Senate, yeah.
Okay. And the other issue I just wanted to bring up is education.
Yeah.
72% of our property taxes in this town is going to education. And the discussion, you know, I think it's Act 73 was passed last year, and the House Education is really still talking about a law. I don't know how you pass a law and then the next session you go back and try to fix it. But anyway, I maintain, and I went to see the governor in his coffee thing on Thursday and told him this very same thing. I said, you all are asking the wrong questions. You're talking about the wrong things on how to fix education. Consolidation's not going to cut it. The school system, and I'm going to use the term, public education, I know the NEA likes to say, equates public schools, and I disagree. Public education equals tax dollars paying for students to go to schools, be they public schools or approved independent schools. That's public education. So we need our teachers, we need our schools. I know we have fewer students in these buildings. I don't think small schools should close. The system needs to change. Because I know of about roughly 2,000 really small schools in this state called homeschoolers. And they do it on a dime. Not suggesting this building needs to do it on a dime, but my point is that this structure, this system is broken. And it's not about, not trying to diss public schools, but the system these teachers operate in is broken. And the only way to fix that is to reimagine and redesign the entire system. Now, I am also someone who thinks families should have a choice in this. Because if you give parents agency to pick the school, you watch how those schools improve. Because they know they'll lose that money from that parent and that child goes somewhere else. So the parents, I think, is an agency piece that could be piled on top of this to make the schools perform. Because this school here is got 50 kids proficient or above, 50 kids proficient or below. Hazen, the same thing. There's another school, Greensboro and Standard, I couldn't find test scores. They're right at C, and we pay $30,000 per student. And I'm thinking, you know, for that amount, you could have a college education. Or let's just put it in a fund for the children. When they get out of high school, they're millionaires. That's how much money we're spending. So I think the legislature, the governor's office, everyone, you're talking about the wrong thing. Reimagine the system. I'm coming from homeschooling where we really reimagined everything. And it's just unstunning. Thank you.
Folks, I just want to say here, we're at the 20-minute mark. However, if you'd like to continue without objection, we can field some more questions and comments, knowing that if you wish to come up and get something to eat, you can, and if it's okay with our lawmakers. Yeah, okay. That said, not hearing any objection, is there a response to Retta Dunlap?
We're both homeschoolers. She's a current one, and my children are a little bit older than that, but
Agreed.
homeschooler work for us.
Yeah. We need to, the system is what I think that was what they intended, but that's not what they got, and they missed the mark, which I vote no for this, because for that very reason. It was not doing what the students and families needed, or what Vermonters needed. The property taxes didn't decrease. It didn't seem like it worked in any of the capacities, and they're still trying, but they're not having the right conversations. Agreed. Thank you.
Yep, Bob, hold, here comes the mic. Yep, Bob Martin.
I heard this past week that the legislature, after I don't know how many years, has provided or forced a liaison officer into the UVM medical network. Because in the past, their finances, statements, or whatever, were not available to anybody except them. And I'm wondering if this liaison officer is going to have the power to get into the finances of UVM Medical. As I understand it, in Vermont, we're paying twice as much for the same insurance that New Hampshire is.
I can't speak for the liaison officer, I'm sorry, I'm not current with that, but by all means, we've got to have that kind of transparency without question. And I just wanted to quickly go back on the school issue. Saudi and I and a handful of others, it's growing, are sponsors of legislation that gives the right to the community to decide whether to close their school. Yes. It's your asset, not anyone in Montpelier's, not anyone on a district. You own the school. It's yours to decide whether to keep it open or not. And that means if you're in some type of gerrymandered district that makes you one of the smallest towns that will clearly lose a district vote, that doesn't count. You get the final say.
Other questions? Yes, Ellie Hayes. Yep. Here comes the mic. Yep. Ellie Hayes.
Just a quick one for Dave, going back to what you were saying about the wealth tax or whatever. Yeah. Could you just speak to the likelihood of that getting passed?
There seems to be sufficient support in the House. Last week, I was told there were 13 yes votes in the Senate. We need 16. But people are hopeful. The House leadership is not keen on doing it if the Senate will not be a part of it. But the support in the House is certainly growing. There's far more people for it than against it. I'm optimistic. Whether it will or not is another question. Whether it would be vetoed or not is another question. To me, it's all a question of values, and if people want to show their values by vetoing something, they can.
Steve, can I ask Dave a follow-up question, at least? Do you
yes,
know
and then
if the senators that represent Woodbury, how they are leaning towards the vote that you
I can only speak for one that I know of. The other two I do not. One of them, Senator Watson, has been quite public in support of it.
I was going to say a letter just went to the speaker that I think both of us signed on to, encouraging for them to take this bill up and take it off the wall and bring this up. So just there is a push of people in the body trying to move this forward, but the final say.
Other questions or comments? Yes, Graham, your last name, please? Graham Christie.
Thank you, Graham Christie. I've been here just about 3 years now, and referring these questions about that Tier 3 Act 250. Greta touched on it. I'm in the same boat. My entire property is affected by this. So, quite honestly, I never would have purchased the property had I known there would be restrictions. So there's that. If this goes through, my property is devalued. Another thing is that when I bought the property, there's a parcel in the back. I'm like, oh, I can build a duplex here. I can help this housing problem. Now I have to pay an additional $20,000, get representation, environmental research, all this. I'm calling it nonsense. I have absolutely no problem with keeping condos or a condo complex or high rises out of Woodbury. I'm 100% for that. But to put the burden when we're just trying to put some housing, single family homes, I think is outrageous. That's all. Thank you.
Any response?
No, I was just going to say agreed. And like I said, that was the first thing I said when I went back. We've been advocating for this. It's in environment and energy. They have Act 250 and all of those things. So all we can do is push from afar and hope that they take these things up and take it seriously. But thank you for your time, and I'm happy to have more conversation with you, and just let us know. Thank you.
Tapin Delaney. Not so. Okay, here we go. We have more questions and comments.
Hi, I'm Tapin, and I'm on the Library Board of Trustees. And I just wanted to let you know that on Monday, June 8th, we'll be having our legislators back again for supper and conversation. We'll, of course, put out some announcements, but mark your calendar. Glad to see that everyone's so civic-minded. Thank you.
Did everyone hear that? Yep, June 8th?
Thank you for doing that.
June 8th, yes. We're going to have another event where our lawmakers come and we have supper and have discussion. Any other questions or comments here? No. Hearing none, we will close discussion with our lawmakers and thank them for coming and invite them to enjoy lunch. Thank you.
Will you make an announcement, anybody voted into office needs to come sign?
Yes. You know, I'll do that when we, or you want me to do it now, just in case people leave?
That's what I'm afraid of, because they're going fast.
Okay, they can come see you now.
So I'm sure after we eat.
Okay, folks, an announcement here that I'm delivering from our town clerk. Anybody who was elected to office, please come up right now and fill out a form and oath in order to take your office. Thank you.
So I'm assuming we're going to have a break to eat, and then we're probably going to put through all the appropriation requests prior to
And I think it would be really nice.
Cindy Gordon has a quick announcement here, and I should say, without objection by unanimous consent, we will recess for lunch.
I don't know how comfortable I am just like diving in, but I would.
Is that okay? I don't hear any objections. We will take, we,
Instead of like waiting, you know, just because I feel like it is probably.
excuse me, folks, please be quiet for 1 second. We're not in recess yet. We just thanked our legislators. Hold just a moment, please, and quiet. We have a question.
I'm curious.
Thank you, thank you.
Like, just
Okay, we are not yet in recess. The meeting is still proceeding. We have a request to continue.
I appreciate
Is there,
the kind words and the support.
Is there a motion to take a recess now for lunch? Oh, okay, we have a motion to take a recess for lunch. It's made by Libby Case. Do we have a second? Second by Chris Codius. The motion here is, shall we take a 15-minute lunch? Shall we take a 15-minute recess for lunch and then resume the meeting at 1 o'clock? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. We'll take a 15-minute recess for lunch. Thank you, folks. Okay. At 1:07, we come out of recess and the meeting proceeds. Before we move on to the next article, very briefly, I would like to thank Hardwick Community Television and Lance for, for joining us here and filming the meeting. They come out to a lot of public events. We really appreciate your time here for documenting this. Okay, so the next article on the agenda is Article 9, as stated in the warning. What is your pleasure with respect to Article 9? Skip Marcassani. Skip Marcassani moves. Is there a second? Chris Codius seconds. Okay, Article 9, I will restate here. Shall the voters appropriate $26,987 for the support of the Woodbury Community Library? Skip, you made the motion. You have a right to speak first. Okay. Is there any discussion under Article 9? Yes, Jane Nolorendo.
I just think we should vote it. I think the library has been doing so many great things, and I love that they have the forum every year, and thank you, legislators, for committing so early, so we have the date, and I just think the library is awesome, and we should fund it.
Other discussion under Article 9? Hearing none, without objection and by unanimous consent, we'll close debate and move on to the vote. All those in favor of Article 9, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Article 9 is passed. Article 10. What is your pleasure with respect to Article 10? As stated in the warning. Skip Marcassani.
I'm going to move that we consolidate Article 10 through Article 32. I'm going to move that we consolidate Article 10 through Article 32 in a single vote.
Okay. Sarah Van Hoff, Skip Marcassani moves and Sarah Van Hoff seconds that we consolidate Articles 10 through 32 and vote on them as a whole. Yes, that is permitted under Robert's rules. I'll explain. Robert's rules recognizes that as a series of main motions. That's permitted. However, if any single voter wishes to deal with any of those articles separately, just let me know, even if it's during debate. Then, at the request of one voter, that article will be moved out of the group and dealt with separately and voted on separately. Okay? Does everyone understand how this series of articles will be moved? Okay. So, we have a motion. We have a motion by Skip, seconded by Sarah, to move as a series Articles 10 through 32. Before we get under discussion on this, I will state that I am an employee of Washington County Mental Health Services. Washington County Mental Health Services is addressed in Article 32, asking for an appropriation of $1,000. I got some information on this, anticipating this motion and anticipating my moderation at this point. So I found out a couple days ago that the Washington County Mental Health Services fiscal year 26 budget is $78.9 million. I believe that the appropriation amount of $1,000 does not present a conflict of interest to me in scope of a budget that size. However, if there's anybody that objects, please let me know. I will step aside and yield the moderating to the select board. Okay, hearing no objection, I'll proceed. Okay, so the motion is in order. It's made and seconded. Skip, you made the motion. You have a right to speak first. I have nothing to say. I do. Okay, Susan Martin.
Yes, I have something to say. Last time I was a lister, we had agreed, not a lister, I'm sorry, an auditor, we had agreed to freeze these amounts, that they never change throughout the years. And I think it was appropriate to do that at the time, and I still do. I don't think we should be looking at increases in this article. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Susan Steitley. Here comes the microphone. Thank you for your patience.
The Woodbury Cemetery Commission proposal is included in this group, which we're normally not sort of put into this group. So I would question the need, because we're there, whether or not we should freeze these fundings, because every year is a little different. And I'm on the Woodbury Cemetery Commission, and we're in the part of this group now. We're Article 10. So I would be hesitant to freeze because of that. We never know what might come up in the Cemetery Commission. And just a few things to say about the commission. First, I want to thank Jamie Dutel, who served for several years and moved out of town. And I want to thank Khaki Peltz for volunteering. And I wanted to thank Patty Garbuck, who I believe left, but she put the new sign up at the South Woodbury Cemetery. Volunteered her time, and we're going to be doing signs at all the cemeteries. We also have a green burial section, which, if you're not familiar with a green burial, it's a natural way of burial with no chemicals. It's a traditional way that people used to get buried before chemicals and embalming came into vogue. And you go into the ground either in a simple casket with biodegradable material that puts you in there, and it's sort of an ecological way to get buried, and it's also much, much cheaper than a traditional cremation or casket type burial. And last year we had hoped to build a road, and I talked about it last year. We got some bids for it, but realized the road we were thinking of was too steep, required too much adjustment, so we have figured out another way to get into this cemetery, the Green Burial Cemetery, that will be more direct and easier for people. So that's part of our request this year. Does anybody have any questions?
Okay. Any other discussion under this series of articles? No. Okay, hearing none, without objection by unanimous consent, we'll close debate on the series of articles and we'll move to the vote. Does everyone understand the consequences of a yes or no vote? I should say, is there anyone who doesn't? Okay. Okay, so we have a series of articles, 10 through 32. All those in favor of approving the series of articles 10 through 32, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Articles 10 through 32 are passed. The next article, Article 33, as stated on the warning. What is your pleasure with respect to Article 33? Paul Cerruti. Paul Cerruti moves Article 33. Is there a second? I'm sorry, second. Oh, Dave Barber, second. Okay. Article 33, I'll restate. Shall the voters authorize general fund expenditures of $639,081 for operating expenses for the period from July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2027? Paul, you made the motion? I'm sorry, who made the motion on that? Paul made the motion. You have a right to speak first.
Hard job.
Is there more discussion under Article 33? Yes, Amy Hunt. Could you?
Why did the treasurer's salary increase so much?
Is there someone who could answer? Yes, Lizzie Higgins. Could you hold just for a moment for the mic? Here it comes.
Thank you. I can answer that question. Can you guys hear me? So it increased for a twofold reason. One being that we found that we had not been paying our treasurer, not even a competitive rate, but we were paying a pretty low rate. And when our old treasurer, Brandy, left, we needed to be able to get somebody. And we were luckily able to retain Lily, who's been doing an awesome job. But we need to pay people a rate that will allow them to be in the position. So we increased the rate in order to retain someone. And then we've also increased the hours. We have been asking for some other things to be done, work that there really isn't anyone to do that needs to get done. So the select board has been giving some other tasks also, which have increased the amount of time that it takes to fulfill the job. And so between those two things, that's why the rate increased.
We'll get her. Chris Casey, I saw, would like to speak. Oh, right here. Chris? Yep.
I just wanted to add to that, in addition to some of the things that we asked, more responsibility put on the plate, there's also been a number of improvements that have happened. So documents that have been created, for instance, just last week we got a formal offer letter that is best practice that we can then when we hire someone, offer that, or present them with an offer letter, that is something that we then retain for our records. We didn't have something like that before. Now we do. And that's just a small example of some of the work that is happening here in the treasurer's office that is going to put Woodbury on just a more solid footing. So I think that it's money well spent.
Excuse me, friends at the back of the room, friends at the back of the room, please be quiet while others have the floor. Thank you, and that goes to all of us. Respect the speaker that's recognized. Or is there other discussion under Article 2? I did see some hands, yep. Patrick Flood. Here's the mic, yep.
So I noticed in the town report, and I may not have all the details straight, but it appears to me that there are several positions in our town government that have seen an increase in compensation. The road crew, I believe, got an increase, which I think is well-deserved. And I believe that the town clerk got an increase. And I think we just voted this library budget, which, if I'm not mistaken, gives the librarian a slight increase. This is just a reality from my perspective. The world has changed. We are not in 1975 anymore. COVID threw everything up in the air, and salaries went up all over everywhere. And if we want to be competitive, if we want to have people in this working for us who can do the job and do it well and serve us well and have a good functioning town, then we're going to have to be prepared to pay a little bit more. And it's really not that much when you add it all up, given what we're getting in return, I think.
Emmett, yep. Yes, I'm sorry, your name, please? Deborah LaRose, yep.
My question on that subject of the treasurer's money, she's getting paid more than the town clerk. I guess I'm questioning why. Town clerk has a lot more responsibility than the treasurer does.
Is that a question? A question why? Is there someone that could, Diana Peduzzi from the Select Board.
Hi, I was the town clerk for 10 years and never was the treasurer, thank goodness. But I can say that the jobs are not equivalent. The treasurer is not only a bookkeeper, is not only an accountant, is someone who just tracks all the money that goes through everywhere. And I think personally it's a more responsible and more difficult position than town clerk. But, you know, we all have state standards that have to be applied, and all the jobs get more complicated. I'm sure Robbins has also. But my opinion.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak that hasn't yet on this article? Chris Codius? No, they've already spoke. You have a right to speak because you have not yet on this article, and we could come back. No? Anyone else who's not yet spoke on this article that wants to? Bob Martin, yes.
I can't understand. I was involved with select boards back 60 years ago, handling heavy equipment for the roads. And I've never heard an explanation, really, of why select board members are paid so little for what they do. I don't understand it. It's, I guess it's just a volunteer position, basically. Because there's a lot more meetings, like in the old days, it'd be like one a month. I remember those days, one a month. But I don't think it's like that anymore, especially in some of the higher populated towns where they can have as many as 200 or 300 meetings a year. And it's not a full-time job.
Okay, I know we have at least one or two people that would like to speak again. Is there anyone else that's not yet spoken under Article 33 that wants to? Okay, Lizzie Higgins? Yes. Yes, here it comes. Yep. All right.
I just wanted to say, to help put things in perspective with the salary ranges, when we were budgeting, we looked at averages for other towns and what their town employees are paid. And currently, at the current rates that Woodbury is offering, our treasurer is getting less than what's average for that position. Our town clerk is getting a little bit more than what's average. So we're in the ballpark with what other towns are doing with compensation.
Anyone like to make a comment that has not yet already spoken? Yes, yes, on this article. Yep, Amy Hunt. Sure, here comes the mic.
May I ask why we are paying Lily an hourly wage while she takes her courses? I can see reimbursing her for a course that she passes, but why are we paying her to take the course?
I just want to clarify this. I just want to clarify your question. So the payment is being made to the officer. So the officer is being paid. Whoever's in that position, it happened to be Lily, but okay, so it's being directed to the payment to the town officer. Okay. Okay, so why is that? So the question is, why is the payment being made for the training of the town officer?
Well, most places, like the state, you take a course, you pass the course, they reimburse you the cost of the course. They don't reimburse you the hours you used to take the course. Why are we? Why is our tax money being used that way?
Okay. Is there someone that could answer that question? Well, hope, Diane, just excuse me for 1 second. We'll just make it clear to everyone. Who would like to speak next? Okay, Chris Casey, and if there's nobody else that would like to speak that hasn't already, we'll come back to Chris. Well, Chris, we had a question posed by Amy. I'm sorry? No, I understand, but Chris has already spoken in this debate, and we have Marcial. Marcial has a right to speak.
Thank you. Hi again. I'm sure Chris will handle this, but I just wanted to say that it's common practice, and I've been getting paid to train is common practice all over the place. I've been getting paid to train, and I'm happy about it because I was in New Hampshire. They even gave me money for a hotel to eat, because what am I supposed to do if I'm in New Hampshire and I'm training for no money? So this is not a big deal. That's my take on it. But I'm just grateful also that I could get paid to train. I could do my job better. Okay, Chris.
Well, unless, yeah, you can give the mic over there. Skip, you've not spoken on this article, correct? So Skip has a right to speak, yep.
I would just like to read a last point. I worked my entire career for a Fortune 500 company, and any time they required me to get training, they paid my salary, they paid my travel, and they paid my living expenses, so I don't think this is a big issue.
Yes. Becky Browning? Yes, okay. Yep, here comes the mic.
I'll just briefly say I feel like this salary that's being allocated is a very modest sum for the expectation that this is the person that is in charge of keeping track of our money. So I feel like it's a very small price to pay. We can't afford to have mistakes, have things happen. So I'm totally on board.
Is there anyone else who's not yet spoken who would like to right now? Okay, we had a question posed earlier by Amy, and is there somebody that would like to answer the question from up here from the select board? Chris Casey.
So I'll keep it short, but it was a decision that the select board made. So it was asked, and the select board felt that someone who showed the initiative to go out and engage in professional development on their own was only going to benefit the town. And we felt it was important to compensate somebody for learning new skills, learning new ways to do things that benefit us. So, yeah, we made that decision.
Diane, you have spoke, so let me just see. Does anyone else? Okay. Yes, Graham Christie.
Hello again. So I was a municipal inspector, building inspector, structural building inspector for over 16 years in Florida. Sorry. We were always paid for training because you want your staff to be up to date and knowledgeable about everything. We were dealing with contractors, clientele, I mean, you name it, we did it. We had to know what was up and coming, what was the administrative code, what was the building code. We had to know these things. If we didn't know that, we could pass something that wasn't deemed to be safe anymore because we weren't knowledgeable. So in that retrospect, it's absolutely necessary to have our people trained, and they should be compensated for it. Thank
you. Yes, David Barber has not spoken yet. He has a right to.
I'm not entirely sure on the details of this, but my understanding is the select board members and all of the town clerk employees are part-time with no benefits, right? There's no health insurance, you're not getting paid time off. And as somebody who's, well, 1 foot out of my 30s, it's really difficult being in the current job market to find the time outside of your bread and butter to contribute locally. And one of the things, I mean, I'm on the library board, I'm the treasurer on the library board, and the amount of stuff I have to do is peanuts compared to what they do. But working a full-time job and making time for the library is already fairly difficult for me. I don't think I'd be able to, I mean, I'm a volunteer, but I don't think I'd be able to work full-time for the library making, you know, a couple $100 a week and not having health care would really be a non-starter. So, I mean, I think even aside from the fact that it's pretty standard practice these days for training to be paid for by your employer, I think considering that there are little to no other benefits, I mean, this has got to be a drop in the bucket, especially compared to what healthcare costs these days. So that was just my opinion on it. So.
Anyone else who's not spoken on this article yet that would like to? Okay, we'll come back over here to Diana. Yep, hold just a second.
I just wanted to mention that we do pay the rest, anybody else who needs training. The listers, I'm sure if Ron was here, he would tell you how frustrated he is with all the training that's now required, even though he thinks he knows it all. Robin gets paid when she goes to training that the state puts on. I don't know who else ever. Oh, well, yeah, all the listers get paid, even if they're sitting and doing a Zoom. Anyway, oh, the other thing is, part-time employees do get some benefits. They do get paid time off.
Any more discussion under Article 33? Lily Barron.
Hi, everyone. I do just want to do a quick clarification. My time paid is time in front of an instructor. It does not include the time that I take outside of that to study, review, and do assignments as well. So just a clarity there.
Any other discussion?
I have a question.
Okay, Robin Durkee.
Going down through the payroll expenses, why didn't the delinquent tax collector get the 3% raise that the rest of us got?
Okay, we have a question about that, and we have Bonnie. Robin, is that it for your question? Okay, we have what?
It's on page 29.
I suspect we're going to come back to that question and have it answered in a moment. However, Bonnie Collins, you'd like to speak? You have a right to speak right now.
I would actually like to note that on page 27, we pay our treasurer $31.50 per hour, and we're paying the assistant treasurer $45 per hour, and the delinquent tax collector is getting $35.44 an hour. So both those positions are actually higher paid than our town treasurer. So I'm not really sure why. I mean, I think that the amount of money being paid is sufficient, and that's just what I would say about that.
Any other comments from someone who's not yet spoken? Okay, without objection, we'll come back to Diana. And we have a question still pending here from Robin. And just to refresh it, it's why did the delinquent or the collector of delinquent taxes not get a 3% raise? Okay. If I believe it is. I believe it is because we're talking about approval of the budget, and that expenditure would have affected the budget. I believe it's in order.
Somewhere here was, I'm not sure, Bonnie, where you found that number for the assistant. 27. Yeah. Anyways, part of that budget was because we were paying Brandy and the as an assistant treasurer while she was training Lily. So that's why that's a little inflated. I think we were paying her like $45 an hour. Okay.
As a moderator, I just want to stress that in debate and discussion, we stay focused not on personalities, but on the positions and the roles. That's what we're discussing. Money being paid to officers, okay? Yeah. Is there any other comments from someone who's not yet spoken? Anyone who has already spoken who wishes to speak again? Hearing none. Yes. Lily would like to speak again.
Just a note on Robin's question about why the delinquent tax collector didn't get the 3% raise. Quick clarification here. These items are estimates, right? So moving into the next fiscal year, the delinquent tax collector's hourly rate will have that 3%. The reason why it's not changed here is that if you see in FY25, under delinquent tax collector, about $2,800 that was spent for the annual year. The budget for this year is $5,000. So looking at what we spent annually, plus an increase, that $5,000 seemed to be sufficient. We didn't necessarily need to change it because we had already budgeted a large portion. A 3% raise is not going to equate to almost a 40% increase in annual salary. So.
Any other discussion under Article 33? Hearing none, without objection, by unanimous consent, We'll close debate on Article 33 and move to the vote. Is there anyone who does not understand the consequences of the vote on Article 33? Okay. All those in favor of Article 33, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no.
No.
The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Article 33 is passed. The next article is Article 34 as stated in the warning. What is your pleasure with respect to Article 34? Paul Cerruti. Paul Cerruti moves it. Skip Marcassani seconds. I'll restate it here. Article 34. Shall the voters authorize highway fund expenditures of $864,599 for the period from July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2027? Paul, you made the motion to bring it up. You have a right to speak first. Good job. Okay. Okay. Other discussion under Article 34. Oh, Chris Casey.
So I just wanted to take a second and talk about the increase to the HERF fund. So what we've done, and it was after Lily developed a capital equipment plan so that we could kind of project out where our equipment was going to kind of phase out and how we needed to plan for the future. We have been annually putting about $90,000 into that fund. And it is pretty clear after the purchase of our most recent truck that that is not enough money to fund new equipment purchases. So the recommendation was that we put about $150,000 this year into it. As a board, we decided we couldn't do quite that much. So we're asking, I think it's around $125,000 that we budget for the HERF fund. I think I just want to encourage everybody to anticipate that going forward, we're going to need to increase that contribution to that fund because vehicles and large equipment is quickly becoming extremely, extremely expensive. And the roads have to be passable. We have to take care of the roads. So those trucks have to go. But I just wanted to make that quick comment.
Other discussion under Article 34? Hearing none, without objection, by unanimous consent, we'll close debate and move to the vote. Does everyone understand the consequences? Okay. All right. All those in favor of Article 34, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Article 34 is passed. The next item on our agenda is Article 35 as stated in the warning. What is your pleasure with respect to Article 35? Skip Marcassani. Skip moves Article 35. Is there a second? Yes. Gail McFarland seconds. Okay. Article 35, I'll restate. To transact any other non-binding business that may legally come before the meeting. Skip, you move the article. You have a right to speak first? Okay. Any other discussion? Oh, yes. Yes, would you please stand and tell us your name? Eve, could we have the mic over here, please? If I understand, brother to your sister? Okay. Yes, your name's Eve. could you say your name, Eve Gordon?
Eve Gordon.
Okay, Eve, I need to ask, I don't see a name tag on your shirt. Are you a registered voter of Vermont, of Woodbury?
No.
Okay, okay. Eve, would you like to make some comments here? Would you like to say something? Yeah. Well, I'm just asking you. Would you like to say something?
Yeah.
Okay. Eve would like to say something here. She's not a registered voter of Woodbury. Without objection and by unanimous consent, we'll permit Eve to say something. Okay, Eve.
So I have noticed that the flag next to the post office steps is showing some wear. Is there anything the town can do to help replace it?
Okay. Is there any, oh, Robin can respond to that. Robin Durkee?
That flag is actually part of the post office, and I will get in contact with the manager, the overall manager of the post office, to see if I can get that flag replaced for you.
Okay. Is there any other discussion under Article 35? Hearing none, without objection, and by unanimous consent, debate on Article 35 will end. And we'll proceed to Article 36, to adjourn the meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? I see Roy Demers, loud and clear from the back. Is there a second to Article 36? I see several, but Jane Noel-Lorendo gets credit for the seconding Article 36 to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor of adjourning the 2026 Woodbury Annual Town Meeting, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes definitely have it. This meeting is adjourned.